So I gotta tell you about this maybe 5-minute video I watched yesterday from a guy I believe lives there in Venezuela, speaking in English. You know, he's narrating what you're seeing, what's happening in Venezuela. And first of all, Venezuela is not a third world country. Let's make that clear. But it is a socialist country slash communist country, you could say, as far as the government goes. And things are rapidly deteriorating, and food is the biggest problem in the country. Getting food for people. It's illegal to store food, in quantity. It's illegal to transfer food. Can't transfer it. Can't ship it. Can't move it from A to B. A whole bunch of problems over there, and they don't have enough food, of course. And this video shows you this stuff, and you're like, man, when was that going on? I haven't seen that. Like, where's our news on this? When was this? What year was this? Right now. It's happening right now. As he explains in the video. Oh, last week, so this is from last week. He shows a line of people, and it's not a single file line either. It's about 3 or 4 wide, you could say, just kind of scattered widely, all the way down. And someone's up top of a building who's filming this. And I don't know if it's a grocery store or whatever the central point of food drop-off that the government or whoever's bringing in this food. All the people in the city know this is where you go, and you got to get in line to get it. And they show the line from this, several stories high building. And it goes, he even like leans out because it goes down so far. The guy narrating the video is saying this goes on for, I think, a few kilometers is what he said. So maybe a couple miles, or maybe more. It's as far as you can see. And I'm thinking about this, saying, this right there, that happening right there, is why I've told people over the years. Lindsay Williams has been saying it too, for a while now too. Get food. You gotta have a food storage. You had the guy from the freaking Tony Blair or Gordon Brown, former prime minister. That's like the president of the United States. That's the president of the UK. Former advisor to him post the other day, and I mentioned it. Post on his Twitter page. Might be a good idea, 3 things or something that be a good idea for people to do. Get some tinned goods to last at least a month, I think is what he said. Basically, get your money out of the bank, although he said get a bit of cash out of the bank to take home and have home to run things for a little while, in case debit cards and electronic, machines and things like that, swiping your card, etc., goes down. I.e., may have a banking problem that goes stops working because of that. He didn't exactly say it in those words, and naturally a guy of his status probably couldn't say it like that. But he mentioned there's another thing he said to do too, and I can't remember what it was. Nothing, out of the ordinary. We all know this already. And right away, the sheeple in UK, oh, come on, you're overreacting. That's a bit over the top, don't you think? You morons. You understand he was an advisor to the Prime Minister, correct? Yeah. Do you think he felt like saying that for fun? To get a rise out of people? By coincidence, as we approach the September-October time frame that the whole damn world's, well, those of us awake, have been waiting for a while now. And here we are. We're there. Markets collapsing? Check. Middle East destabilizing even more? Check. Russia sending troops and military aircraft to help Assad fight ISIS? Check. France via the UN gonna finally vote to approve Palestine as a state, as its own country in the very near future, as in I think we're weeks away from that. Check. Israel's gonna be furious at that. Check. Israel's gonna start a war with its neighbors. Check. Of course, get ready for a false flag, because Israel's an expert at false flags. And they'll blame it on Palestine or Iran or whoever. And said we had to retaliate. Of course, they're going to be the aggressors, although you never know. They may just say, you know, the hell with this. We don't even have time to put a false flag together. We need to act now. And because of this, what just happened, we feel it's a breach of our national sovereignty, something nonsense, and we're going to attack. And I'm going to tell you, first of all, I'm going to post this link to this video of what is happening now in Venezuela. They're even showing beer trucks being stopped by the people, and people opening the doors to that thing and taking beer. Anything they can get their hands on. It shows them climbing up like walls of businesses that have metal burglar bars all over the place and breaking in and trying to steal anything they can get their hands on. Going to the giant warehouses, like what would be like the equivalent of Sam's Club, and they're climbing the giant racks to the very top and throwing food down to other people, and just, this is happening now. This wasn't from some time period a long time ago and things have changed. No, this is happening right now. And you can see this stuff. You gotta wonder, could it happen here? The answer is absolutely. It can happen anywhere. So why are people calling preppers, oh, you're a prepper, and you know what I'm gonna say when when their dumb behinds are out in the stores and the shelves are cleaned off? Oh, you should have been a prepper. And guess what? You can't come to my house. Now what? How's that make? Oh, guess who those long lines are going to be filled with? 2 miles, 3 miles, whatever it was. You're sorry, but you didn't have. Well, we had some canned goods. How much? Oh, to last a week. Last a week. Do you think this crisis is only going to last a week? No. Then why'd you only buy a week's worth of food? Did you buy any precious metals to deal with this economic collapse that's coming, this economic collapse that you can already see? I've already warned you about this, and look at the markets as of the last few weeks. Hint, hint. Who's going to be right? Us conspiracy theorists once again. So, you got to see this video. It's not long, but it's very telling as to what can happen, and it's not going to be fun. This is why if you got like a year's supply of food, there's a good chance there's not going to be people standing in lines for a year straight, raping and pillaging trucks that drive by, and the military and little jeeps chasing some of these illegally delivering of food trucks, which is how the scene starts in the video. Shooting bullets in the air, I think, to try to get the truck to think that they're shooting at it, to get it to stop. The military in a jeep. I mean, what is this? But all of these things are just so much to add up. Jade Helm ends when? And middle or end of September. And we know, right? We all know this is an exercise. Jade Helm is an exercise where the military has to help law enforcement deal with rowdy, pesky civilians in America. Why would you need to have an exercise for that? Everything's fine. There's the recovery, official recovery started in 2009, and the recession ended April 2009. What the hell are you doing right now? Everything's fine. Unemployment's 5%. I mean, yeah, but don't look at the 50 million people on food stamps. Don't look at that number, because you can't have 5% unemployment and 50 million people record-breaking food stamp numbers, now can you? That's kind of contradicting a tiny bit. And, oh, the Fed's meeting again. Oh, they're going to raise rates. It's middle September, end of September. No, they're going to do quantitative easing 4 and 5. To be honest with you, I kind of feel like they're going to raise those rates. The markets have to collapse anyways. What perfect thing to do to help that along the way? Raise rates. And I remember reading somewhere when I think it was Alan Greenspan or Paul Volcker, I'm not sure, one of them, former Federal Reserve heads back in the 80s, when they had interest rates going up 15, 16, 18% for mortgages, and I mean, they raised rates like it was crazy. And they were saying how it was one of these Federal Reserve guys talking about it. They're saying how they remember receiving letters from angry American citizens, working class, about how badly this is affecting their lives, these high interest rates. I mean, scathing letters. And this guy was reflecting on it, and he worked with them. He was an advisor to them or something. And he was explaining how that was happening at that point. So they chose during a time that they shouldn't have raised rates that high. They did anyways. Caused a lot of problems for people. So I know people think, oh, easy money, they'll just do QE again. The only way I can see them doing quantitative easing again is if everything, again, starts collapsing this month, next month, it's bad, economics, the markets, everything else. But they, for some reason, they extend this where the rest of the world's dealing with it, but America's markets, hey guys, ours are okay. And they may let ours stay pumped up for a while, so that the rest of the world's markets who are collapsing, hey, put your money in America. I don't know. Theirs is way more stable than ours, guys. I'm going over there. So that we can suck in all that external money over here, so that when we do pull the plug on ours specifically, we've got a ton of money in there to do it with. Other people's money. Not just yours and American citizens, but other countries flood to ours. Did any of these other stock markets drop 1,000 points and then rebound, all wiping away the entire 1,000 points drop, and then ultimately came down that day, ended the day down? But it just shows you the level of rigging we can do whenever we want. So I can see that going two ways. That's one way, and then maybe right before the elections or after the elections have happened, our market takes the biggest collapse ever. And they held it out so that you can't blame Obama, you can't blame him. Everything was fine when he was in charge. And then right during the interim of the next president, whoever that may be, markets fall out. Well, now you don't have to worry about which one of you are going to fix the market, the retirement thing, because whoever that is, I'm voting for you. You can't do that because the person was already voted in. And now the market's collapsed. Now your retirement's hurt. Because remember what Lindsay said, you'll see the euro go first, and then it'll come to America after that. You'll have a few weeks to prepare for that to happen here. So I can see that happening, where the whole rest of the world's suffering, and then last but not least, America skates through this for a year till, the election time next year, and then it happens here. After we've already voted, of course. You could really I could just see that happening. The other side is that no, they're ready to pull the trigger on the worldwide markets now. It's September. It's their time frame. It's their occult holidays. Blood moon of all blood moons ending. They're not going to wait a year out to deal with this. Again, I could see either one of those because they still get their little occult thing happening with the rest of the world. They're going to let the rest of the world suffer while our market stays great, so they can suck in all the money across the world to our markets and then pull the trigger next year. People talk, oh, you got to short the S&P for September and short this, and I'm thinking, what if I had to try doing that? You can make a small fortune if you get it right, with a little downside risk actually, but you could lose your initial investment. But I thought, the club never wants people to figure out their timing. And as soon as you think you got their timing, market should crash up, market goes up. Oh, it's going to go up. We know they're going to push the price down like silver and gold. All right, I'm going to start shorting the market, and it goes up a little more. They clean out the shorts. Then it finally goes down. Oh, then they hit it harder than you thought. Okay, great. It's at the low. Now I'll start getting some long contracts because I think the price can go up. Nope, goes down even more. It's like you can never, unless you're just lucky, it's like you can never win. So everything that you think you know, which makes sense, but they don't want you to be able to make the money when they make the money. Because for each time there's a sell order, there has to be a, for every person that's buying, there's got to be somebody selling. And for everyone that's selling, there's got to be someone buying. Now, naturally, it's them, the elites, buying and selling the vast majority of it, period, back and forth to themselves. But if a bunch of little guys get in over here, they just clean them out by either buying or selling to push the price down. And, stop you out of your contract. So, I know we've all been expecting this time frame, and even Lindsay said things you need to do before September 15th or whatever he said, in his video. And it's the same stuff, make sure you got your precious metals, make sure you got a food storage, make sure you have a bug out location to go to, like a person or place. Not a bug out like I'm taking my 3-day bug out bag into the woods. I'm telling you now, those of you who have those things, you're wasting your time. Especially if you're in the damn city. Where in the hell are you going for 3 days with a bug out bag? And assuming you all live by a big park, a national park or something, okay, go in there for 3 days with your family and camp out in the woods. And let me know how that works out when in 3 days your supplies run out. And your family's there. Daddy, what are we doing here? Daddy, I want to go home. Daddy isn't. Daddy's going to be going home. Trust me. So I never got a little small bug out bag. I never could understand. It didn't make sense to me. Just didn't make sense to me. Not in a scenario like this. So I've always tried to prepare for what I thought was coming by realizing I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to be living here in the city. And Pastor Dowell has always told me, man, if it really goes down and you need a place to come to, you can come here. I'm like, yeah, I appreciate that, man, but I don't know that things will get that bad to where I ever need to make that call, man. Pastor Dowell, we're scared. We don't like what's going on here. We want to come. Number one, if I do that, what happens to my job? How do I earn income all of a sudden? You can't just do stuff like that unless it's literally a life and death situation. It's worse than, World War III started and bombs are dropping, and at that point it doesn't matter anymore. You're not, I gotta have my job. No, you're gonna get the hell out of Dodge when that happens. And once again, if you're a person living in a pretty populated city and there's a world war that has started, where do you think the enemies are going to target? Are they going to target these little small, communities in the country? Population, very tiny? Or are they going to be hitting the high-profile city targets, etc.? I mean, naturally, that makes more sense. And if you believe the John Teeter story stuff, when people ask him where would the safest place to be or not be when end day, nuclear day, goes down, and he said, well, basically anywhere. Just look at your local voting precinct maps of basically the number of voters per precinct. The higher the precinct numbers, the more, basically the more he's going to advise you not to be in that area. Which is another way of saying anywhere there's a pretty highly populated area is not going to be the greatest place to go, because that's going to be a high-profile target. And, look at Tampa, Florida. Huge, pretty large population. What's right there? MacDill Air Force Base. You going to want to be around those places? No. Here I am, I don't know, 10 or 15 miles away from that place. But at the same time, I remember John Teeter, again, if we believe that whole thing, then he said he works out of a military base in Tampa, Florida, is where this, machine of his that they use is actually operated out of. So if there's a world war and Tampa gets hit, why would he be there where nuclear fallout would still be a few years later, for sure, in this machine or whatever? Why would that happen? It doesn't make sense to me. So I felt like this might not be one of those targets for whatever reason. But he also said Omaha, Nebraska would be the new capital of the United States. And it was the place where he told his family here to go to. And the lawyer in Kissimmee or Orlando verified, yes, I can verify they moved from here to where he said, which is Nebraska. And other than that, I'm not going to tell you exactly where they moved. I can't do that as their lawyer. But I can verify they absolutely did. And so that's interesting too. So I always keep that in the back of my mind too, because I always think if I see the right thing happen, I need to pack up and go somewhere. Maybe that's where I'll go instead, you know. But you know, what about these brutal winters and things that happen like that? So I don't know. It's just, man, there's so much to think about, so much going on, so much to think about. What if this happens? What would I do? And the bottom line is, I don't think there's a single one of us who are ever going to have the perfect plan, because you can't have a perfect plan to things that are dynamic, that aren't static. They change. They're like living things, right? They move and go different ways. You can't prepare for that. That's impossible. It's like preparing for some specific wave to come out in the ocean at this particular date and time, and it's going to be this tall, and it's going to come this way in this direction. The wind's going to be 5 miles an hour. You don't know that. You know, it's like, come on. So all you can do is prepare to say, okay, here's all of the things kind of as a whole that we think are probably going to happen. How do I deal with all of those things, or at least the worst of those things? And, you know, you just make your own preparations. But interesting times. I gotta say, it's gonna be one of those things where, you know, those of us around in however many years are gonna be able to tell our, you know, grandkids an amazing, absolutely amazing story, good or bad. It's gonna be amazing nonetheless. And sure, I wish it was a story of, oh yeah, we almost had this happen and almost had that happen, and the people were able to rise up, and, you know, change came, and things, you know, were a little rough for a little while, but they quickly rebounded. Everything was good, and we got some competent, honorable people in the Congress and the President and the Supreme Court and all these selected federal judges. They were able to play. I mean, realistically, is that going to happen? Not unless it happens by force. And the club will be doing everything and anything they can do to make sure that that doesn't happen. Guys, don't break the law. Come on, you can't overthrow these people. You're going to go to prison. Yeah, but we voted and you keep getting the same stuff over, and you promised us and you lied to us, and you're doing backroom deals again, and you're destroying national areas and giving them to club member friends of yours and saying that no one's allowed over there, and right, Bureau of Land Management and stuff. Okay. So, anyways, gots to run. We're in September. Stuff is going down. Honestly, can't wait to see how it ends. And I almost feel like, I'll end this by saying this, I feel like there's going to be a big false flag event. Perfectly timed. You got the Federal Reserve leaving New York. We're going to move to Chicago. What? Huh? Why are you leaving New York? Why all of a sudden? Why are you going to Chicago? Whether it's going to be a cyber attack or whatever. They need something big when this market goes down to divert your attention. Which to me means it has to be some kind of false flag event. Boy, oh boy, would a man-made natural disaster work really well. Maybe they can have the big one in California take effect, and oh man, the Hoover Dam gave way and caused massive damage for, 1,000 miles, and we're declaring martial law for now, and you can almost feel it in the air. Take care.